Defending the rule of law or crushing democracy. The violent scenes in Catalonia as Spanish police tried to prevent an independence referendum shocked Europe. Tonight, in a televised address, the Spanish king condemned the Catalan leaders and said the referendum was illegal. So, have recent events made Catalan independence more or less likely? Robert Short reports.
Spain, as we know it, may be stumbling its way into changing beyond our recognition. The possibility that the northeastern state of Catalonia could go from autonomy to independence has moved a step closer. Revolutions have their own rhythms. This one has just picked up the beat. Early Sunday morning, tweets from the Interior Ministry about the illegality of the poll. Then an avalanche across social media as voters were attacked by police attempting to disrupt the vote. The violence then escalated. Over 800 civilians and 33 police were reported injured. The crackdown has overshadowed the politics of Sunday's vote. It's overshadowed the constitutional questions and dominated the debate. And the reverberations continue. National police were filmed here in a hotel in a Barcelona suburb, pumping the air and chanting, "Long live National Police, long live Spain." Today, as they packed up to leave, they were booed by locals. In other signs of fracturing, the Catalan defender Gerard Piqué, who took a public stand in favour of independence, was booed at a training session for the Spanish national team in Madrid last night. He kept posting on Twitter. He dedicates more time to social media than to playing football. So until this changes, we're going to whistle him. The EU has backed the constitutional position of the Spanish government, but Council President Donald Tusk has also appealed against the further use of force. From Geneva, the UN waded in about the violence.
Hundreds of people appear to have been injured, and so therefore it's extremely important there is a thorough, independent, impartial investigations into any acts of violence that took place.
The Spanish government is weighing its next move. Prime Minister Rajoy has taken a hard line against Catalan separatism. That's proven popular in the rest of Spain in the past. The Catalan president, Carles Puigdemont, has threatened to use Sunday's vote to declare independence, but he hasn't gone that far yet. And tonight in Madrid, King Felipe of Spain addressed the nation. He strongly defended the constitution and accused Catalan leaders of irresponsible behaviour. Thousands turned out for today's general strike in protest at the crackdown on Sunday's referendum. Just 42.5% of the Catalan electorate voted on Sunday. There was another referendum in November 2014. Its result, also in favour of independence, was dismissed as symbolic. The symbolism of this vote and its aftermath may not be as easily forgotten.
Robert Short reporting. I'm joined now in the studio by Albert Llussà, a Catalan human rights lawyer based here in Dublin, and from Madrid by Professor Joe Haslam. Joe, if I could come to you first, we heard those remarks by the King tonight. Catalans, I think, were already deeply aggrieved by what happened over the weekend. They're going to be even more aggrieved by what he had to say.
Sure. I mean, the King wanted to say something. We all have to appear relevant to the debate. People were asking what the King was thinking, but I imagine his scripts were very closely scripted in advance by Rajoy, and I imagine he was largely told what to say. In that sense, I would, make a differentiation between, what his father did many years ago. Things have changed very much in Spain, and the King does what he's told now, and Rajoy asked him to say that, and he said that.
OK. A lot of people looking at the pictures on Sunday, and I know it didn't happen everywhere in Catalonia, but it happened in enough places to be very widely seen around the world. a lot of people would have thought if the referendum was illegal, if it could be dismissed by the Spanish government as not binding, if it would have been boycotted by a large number of people who were against independence and could therefore be ignored, why use such heavy-handed tactics?
Okay, well, the first thing to do is to condemn all incidents of violence are regrettable, and in no way would I ever wish to sort of to explain away what had happened. My own view is that the Rajoy made a political calculation. He made a calculation that for his own audience, in other parts of Spain, we're very tired of seeing inactive. And again, if you are in a major role, you have to be seen to act. And I think he wanted a small amount of violence in the same way that Puigdemont, would not have wanted anyone to be seriously ill, but he got exactly what he wanted in that pictures went around the world. So I think it was a good result for both parties. Rajoy was seen to be strong, and Puigdemont also got his scenes that went around the world. The question is whether Rajoy will seek to make political capital out of this by holding, for instance, a snap general election. His main opposition party are weak, so what he might very well do is go to the country and try and get an overall majority. That would also shift the momentum. In other words, Rajoy is seen to be setting the momentum, as opposed to now the momentum is being set in Barcelona by Puigdemont.
OK, Albert, if I could turn to you. What is Mr Puigdemont likely to do, do you think?
Well, we've just seen the BBC tweet indicating that he has informed them that in the next few days Catalonia will make a unilateral declaration of independence in accordance with Article 4.4 of the law on referendum enacted last September following the mandate given to the Catalan Parliament in the last elections, which very clearly set the roadmap towards self-determination.
But the Spanish authorities, the government in Madrid, will say that that is completely illegal and they will try and stop it.
First of all, organising a referendum in Spain is not illegal. It is not illegal. There's no article in the criminal code that typifies organising a referendum as illegal. This is a mistake widespread. The Constitutional Court suspended two acts enacted by the Catalan Parliament in September, the law on referendum and the law of legal transition, which aims to transpose the legal order currently existing with a new one if and when independence takes place. But this suspension are resolutions of the Constitutional Court which suspend the effectiveness of these orders pending the outcome of the Constitutional Court's judgment on whether or not these laws are unconstitutional, not illegal. The Constitutional Court doesn't make declarations of illegality, only of constitutionality. And what happens is that the Catalan Parliament, following the last elections of September 2015, when it started this roadmap towards independence, clearly stated in a resolution that it no longer accepted the legal or moral or any sort of authority of this Constitutional Court, for many reasons that I won't go into it. So what the Catalan government is doing is not obeying suspensive resolutions and executive orders of the Constitutional Court, which it no longer recognizes for a lot of reasons.
But the Catalan government knew that this would be resisted in some form by Madrid, so does some of the responsibility fall on them? For what happened on Sunday?
The only responsibility that the Catalan government has is that they have decided to disobey the orders of the Constitutional Court and follow the mandate given to them by the Catalan people, who for over a decade now have been marching the streets up and down Barcelona and the country peacefully in their millions, demanding to be heard, demanding to speak, demanding to rearrange the constitutional structure of Spain. For the last 300 years we have been suppressed, and this is now come to a final end game, and now it's all or nothing.
But can it be done peacefully?
We have been doing this peacefully. In my hometown today, a 70,000 inhabitants place, Manresa, 30,000 people march silently with their arms risen up to the sky in front of the Civil Guard headquarters. My grandmother, by the way, was the daughter of a civil guard from Almeria, and she emigrated to Catalonia in 1920. So Catalonia has nothing against Spain or the Spanish people. We just want to have a voice and the right to decide our future in the exercise of our right as a people to self-determination. This is an internationally recognized human right. This is a political problem, not a criminal or judicial problem. It could be resolved politically, and Rajoy and the part of Spain that he and his party represents are incapable of imagining the Spain outside Articles 1 and 2 of the Constitution, which proclaim the indivisibility unity of the territory, and that the sovereignty lies on the whole of the Spanish people. But territorial integrity, under international law and under the law, the modern understanding of international law and self-determination, territorial integrity is to be used against other states, not against your own people. So if you have a minority, a national minority in a country, in a state that is a people, as we are, a nation, and we have been for 1,000 years, we should have the right to exercise that determination.
Okay. Joe Haslam, it doesn't sound like there's going to be an easy solution to this. How is this going down in the rest of Spain?
Well, I think the point to make, first of all, is Rajoy, as the Prime Minister, he is ultimately responsible. In that sense, I think that he should be called out. The point that I always think when I hear about people on the streets is that people on the streets were also complaining about corruption. In a sense, what has been happening here is a question of corruption, and nationalism has risen by both parties, by both Rajoy and also there was corruption for many years for the ruling party in Barcelona. So the people are just as angry about corruption as they are about nationalism, and the level has seemed to have risen. What is happening, however, is that Spain, I'm starting to see flags being posted over windows, something I never saw. People are starting to identify people as Catalan or Madrid, and it's starting to a level as something I've never seen in the 14 years I've lived here. I'm hoping that it's just a temporary thing, and I'm hoping that over time, people will calm and cool heads will rise. But Rajoy is under a lot of pressure in other parts of the country. Many of whom are sick of the extensive freedom that the Catalans already have, and many powers that they were granted. And instead of governing a state in a way that shows that they deserve the right to be governed, they still complain. They blame Madrid for absolutely everything, and they misspend and they fail to crack down on corruption within their own party system.
Okay, Joe, thank you very much. Albert, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Miriam.